All right, so we're going to be talking about the properties of equality. Now, this is probably going to seem like the most random video that I have given you so far because you're looking at this thinking, what in the world are the properties of equality? Well, I don't really blame you. So what you need to understand is where we're going next. We're going to start talking about proofs. All right, I know you've heard about geometric proofs, and there are some things that you need to start thinking about in terms of proving geometric concepts. These are the properties that you're going to be using a lot, not the only things, but you're going to be using them a lot to do proofs of congruence and things like that. The two biggest ones are the ones that are underlined, the reflexive property and substitution property. Go ahead and do the reflexive property first. So reflexive property is where you are saying that something is equal to itself. So let's say that you say A equals A. All right, so you have a triangle, and it's A, B, C, and we've put a line down it that's D. That's the same as saying DC is congruent to DC because it's a side, but each of them are in the right and the left triangles. The substitution property is if A equals B and B equals C, we can substitute C in for A. So we get C equals B. All right, the transitive property is very similar to the substitution property. It's just worded a little bit differently. So I'm going to use the same example of if A is equal to B and B is equal to C. Instead of just saying we can substitute the C for the A, we say then C has to be equal to A. I know it kind of seems like semantics, but they do have different names. So I'm trying to think of a good a good example of this. So if you can come up with one where you could say if something is something and something else is and something is something else, then blah blah blah. If you can come up with that, I'll give you a little bonus point for it on your next quiz. For the symmetric property, you actually use this one a lot. You just don't call it the symmetric property. This one is if A equals B, then B equals A. How many of you have ever solved an algebra problem and gotten 5 equals X? Well, yeah, we all have, and almost all of us immediately turn around and say, well, I'm going to write it X equals 5. That is the symmetric property. All you're doing is flipping it. So these are the properties of equality that we're going to be using when we move into doing proofs. Now this is going to be pretty fast. We're going to probably start hitting these next Monday. So you need to make sure that you have these in your notes so that when we start talking about them, I can say, guys, go back to your notes from this video, the properties of equalities video. And that's it. There are going to be no questions for this video. So underneath this video on the daily lesson plans, you should see the words no questions.